Okay. So we'll just start the call with sharing the mission of Healy, which is to create revolutionary products and opportunities to empower you to thrive and live a life of freedom, passion, and joy. Delivering frequencies for your life.
If everybody could just mute themselves.
Yeah, that would be great.
Sorry, can you actually mute me? Because I don't know how to do it. I'm on my phone and I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
You're muted. I think I can do, yeah, everybody else is muted. Okay, and so then the vision of Healy is to empower people to live a healthy, fulfilled, and conscious life, and to inspire our growing community to make a continuous positive impact on humanity. So I'd just like to share the mission and the vision of Healy on each of the calls, and also to reiterate that these calls are for empowerment, for informational purposes, not in any way of diagnosis or medical information. So we're really just collectively gathering to learn more and learn to use this beautiful technology in a way that we can maximize. So on the last call 2 weeks ago, we talked about Gold Cycle, which was a deep dive into that, or the foundational frequencies. I discussed the client protocol that I use with my coaching clients, as well as we discussed daily and weekly routines. So there were a couple of people on the call that shared their weekly routine. I shared mine. So those replays are on YouTube as well as in the Telegram group. So if you want that, then just you can pop it into the chat box and I can share that in the call as well. And then so for today's focus, we are going to focus on the Heal Advisor Analyze app, which is the Healy Blue Dot app, or also where the resonance and the aura analysis is located. And today we're going to focus on the resonance analysis portion. So we might do another call on the aura analysis separately because there's a deep dive into that. And so today we're going to just focus on the resonance analysis. We'll be discussing the quantum sensor, the science of Healy. We'll do a demonstration, answer all your questions. So it's really kind of a free flow. If you have questions, please ask. You can pop them in the chat or raise your hand or jump in. So it's really interactive. It's meant to be, you know, a group collaborative effort. I think in my experience, there's a lot of ways to use the Healy, and we all tend to have our own ways of doing it. And so it's sometimes really nice to hear how other people are doing it for new ideas and just a different perspective. Yeah, just to allow us to grow and evolve with the technology. So as I said, this is the Healy, the Blue Dot app, and we're going to be focusing on the resonance analysis portion. So with this one, with this app, there's no electrodes, wires, and no physical connection needed at all. So this is vibrating into our information field. It's on the vibrate function only. So this is different than the longer IMF frequencies where you have the wrist straps or you have the sticky electrodes and you're applying the frequencies. They're going directly into the body. With this resonance analysis, it is vibrate function only. So we're not using any kind of, we don't need any of the wrist straps or the sticky electrodes. And this is working in the information field, so the morphogenetic field of the person. So when I first learned about Healy and the difference between the two different programs, it was explained to me that when you use the IMFs with the wrist straps or when the microcurrents are going directly into the body, it's working that way. It's working from the inside out. Whereas when you're working with the Healy Blue Dot app, the resonance analysis, it's working from our information field. So it's sort of working for them from the outside in towards the body. And this can be done with yourself. This can be done with somebody else in person, or it can be done via distance. I use this quite a bit with my clients who are located in other parts of the world. And with this, as always, intention, focus, and consciousness. This is really the mental power, the key to success of using this technology, of using the frequencies, and especially with the vibration mode, of just being really clear with the intention and focus. And that's why they have the fingerprint, is really to draw your attention and be focused and present in the moment when you're using the analysis function. So I just wanted to share before we begin that a lot of the information that I gathered over time, these were amazing resources. So I can share these in the Telegram group at the end of the call. But this is a deeper dive into how to use these. So we are going to share about the technology, and we're going to go through a demonstration, but we're not going to do a step-by-step of how to do it. That is explained in these videos, as well as some of the resources in the Quantum Academy. So I just wanted to share these in case you wanted to go deeper and learn more, that these are great resources. And again, I can share them in the Telegram group. So I'm going to ask Jenny to talk about the quantum sensor and kind of the science behind the Healy and the resonance analysis function.
Okay, so thank you. So happy to be here again. This is really exciting. I hate that I missed the call last week because we were in Orlando, but so excited to be back. Hello, everyone. Like Andrea mentioned, this using the resonance, the vibration on the resonance is completely different from, like I have my coil in. So when you plug into the ports, that automatically triggers the microcurrent vibration. Totally different from using the noise generator and the quantum sensor and how that works with the noise generator. It's actually a p-in junction, which is a silicone junction. So super tiny array of coils and metals, not to get too, techie or engineering mindset. But, just so you understand, it is extremely small, like as a microchip runs, your computer. This is basically the same thing that's inside of the Healy. And the way that it is designed is how it interacts with the electrons, which is what holds information in our bioenergetic field. So the quantum sensor is extremely intelligent, and it's really what sets Healy apart from so many other frequency devices out there, because as most of you may know, or maybe you don't know, we do have a parent company called Time Waver, and Time Waver is a much larger machine, and it is designed to be used in a practitioner's office with a practitioner to actually administer the frequencies directly from the machine. And over time, what they were able to accomplish is to by the use of AI and holding a database of frequencies, they were able to take the practitioner out of the device. And that's how they were able to micro size it down to just this tiny little wearable device. So the frequencies that we use are based on a database that has been collected over many, many decades, many trials and experiments, and all of these things that the frequencies and the programs that you see, they're there because those frequencies have been proven to work in those specific areas of the body, right? So that is just a little bit on the quantum sensor. I could talk a lot more, but I think that's kind of the gist. Does everybody kind of understand how that works a little bit? Any questions? I can never tell if I go too far, if I need to pull it back, or if I need to. What do you think, Andrea?
I think that's a great overview.
So what's happening too with the noise generator is it's creating a scalar wave, right? So it's scalar technology that we're working with, and so that emanates out from the device into the bioenergetic field. All right. And when you're using the microcurrent, when you plug in, it triggers a whole different frequency, the microcurrent, and that's what you're using that works on the cellular level. So I love that explanation. Beautiful with the microcurrent, the inside out, and then, the vibration with the resonance from your bioenergetic field inside in. That's a really nice way to put it.
Also, yesterday I was reviewing some of my notes, and Marcus was explaining that the microcurrent is low frequencies and that's in the Healy Pink Dot app. And it's really aimed at the cellular level. So the goal is to increase the cellular energy, to restore the membrane potential, which allows for cells to be in a healthy environment. Whereas when we're using the resonance, the vibration mode, these are higher frequencies, and these are aimed at the bioenergetic field. So, and it's designed to harmonize our bioenergetic field. So again, thinking about it with the microcurrents, it's working more at the material level, at the physical level. Whereas when you move up into the higher frequencies, into the vibration mode, it's working more in our bioenergetic field. So we know that our energetic field extends 6 feet in all directions around us. And so there's a lot of energy in that space, and it can become disrupted by environment or emotions or other people's energies or EMFs, like many, many different factors. And so the vibration mode is really meant to bring that back into harmony, back into alignment, so that we're resonating at this nice, beautiful, even frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And then one thing that Marcus had talked about yesterday as well, with the goal of science with the quantum sensor, is to connect the body, mind, and the soul. So to connect information, matter, and energy, and bring it all into this one big aspect, which is to have this resonant vibration that's really even and harmonized.
And he also talks about when you are, especially when you are first starting out, in general, before you use a microcurrent program, he definitely suggests vibrating with the Blue app, with the Resonance app, because it's like saying hello to your bioenergetic field, and really kind of waking your being up with these new frequencies that you might not be used to. So it's a really great way to introduce frequencies into the body before you start to use the really deep work of the microcurrent.
Interesting. So he says use vibrate mode first and then move on to IMFs?
Yeah. He thinks that's a great way to start, is using the vibrate first.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions about that? About any of the technology? Okay. And so maybe we'll do a demonstration now, Jenny, and we can kind of walk through that. And then I'll talk about this versus acute and chronic, and Healy's guideline for using the different vibrational frequencies. There's a lot of different times that we can select from, so we can dive into that. And so we can talk about that after we do the demonstration.
Okay, Bonnie just had a question about using the gold frequencies. Now, not everybody has access to the resonance, right? The gold frequencies, before that, is just when you're focusing on when using the microcurrent and doing the cellular work, that he wants you to start, or suggests for you to start in the gold, because these are the initial frequencies that gently detox the body and, rebuild and regenerate and reharmonize as well. So that's why he says to use the gold first. But as far as, the vibration goes, I've heard him say that he prefers to start with a vibration to kind of introduce these frequencies into your bioenergetic field. And that's a nice way to start with a harmonization.
Okay, so I'm going to just join the call with my cell phone so that I can do the analysis. Had to learn some new technology this week. All right. So within the one that I have resonance analysis, coaching analysis, and aura analysis. So we are going to begin with resonance analysis today.
Does everyone know how to start in this app and upload a client? Does anybody not know how to do that? I guess I should ask that. Speak up.
I don't know how to upload a. Oh, actually, no, I do know how to do that. Never mind. Sorry.
should I go back and start from there?
Maybe just a little quick overview.
So when you're in this window and you want to join here, and then at the top there's add new client. And then you can put in a person, animal, plant, organization, all those different ones. So, and you want to try and add as much information as you can. So a photograph, full name, birth date, or place of birth, as much information as you can. Not so much about their address and email address, but just the information that can tap into their information field or their bioenergetic field. And then once they're entered, it will ask you if you would like to do the analysis. And you connect it to the Healy that you have. Okay. And so when you do the analysis, I get my clients to say, with what do I have the greatest resonance now? Or where do I need the most support right now? Just to kind of, again, bring that focus and attention to what we are working with. And then within the database selection, there's a lot of different programs here. I begin with all Healy programs. And this is sort of giving you the roadmap of where you can work and where your body needs the most support. So do the analysis. And again, placing your finger on here, it's not reading anything from your fingerprint, but it's gathering information. It's bringing your focus to the working with the resonance. And so for me, what comes up here today and right now is deep cycle, bioenergetic vitalization, which are the stem cell frequencies, beauty programs. This comes up for a lot for me right now because I burned my leg a couple of weeks ago. So the skin frequencies have been coming up a lot. Chakras, and then bioenergetic harmony too. So from this screen, you can select at the bottom actions and then vibrate. And then you can select the time. So most of the time, I do the analysis to determine which 5, and then I dive deeper into each individual one. If you're short on time or you're giving a demo, this is a nice time to just vibrate the frequency in this time. If you're, Jenny, when you're at your expos or you're doing demos with people, do you vibrate just these 5?
No, I would go deeper. I would definitely go a little bit deeper and see what comes up, like in the Deep Cycle H programs. But I will, like you said, I'll just show them the transmission duration, pull that up and show them the different times they can do. And I'll just do a little short blast, like the 37-second, while I explain to them, that now we can go into the Deep Cycle H and, see what programs within that comes up. So you can do a little blast. And I know there are rules about you're muted, babe.
Okay. Sorry. There's rules about what, sorry?
Oh, I was just going to say, like you mentioned before, there's certain rules, like if you're, depending on what you're working on, how much time and how many blasts. I haven't per se been working on anything. I try to just do as long as I can, if I'm working with it within this app. But yeah, everybody has different protocols, like you mentioned in the beginning. But there are certain guidelines that we have been told that are good to follow for different things.
Yeah, and in my experience of working with people, when working with a new client or somebody where this is their first experience with frequencies, I typically stay at 37 seconds. So sort of testing, and as you were talking about earlier, about introducing the frequencies into people's information fields. So in this case, less is more. I did have one experience where I had done analysis with a woman and we had gone through, I think, the 5, and then she wanted to do a few more. And then after, she had some detox symptoms after the call when we had gotten off. And so it made me more mindful about when I'm working with someone for the first time, even by distance, because that was by distance with her, of just using less, attuning their body, introducing more of the frequencies and the philosophies of this, of using this, and going from there. And I was actually listening to something the other day, and they were talking about, in terms of these times, these have been gathered from time waiver practitioners who have been using it with their clients, and they've determined that these time frames is where they had the most success. So he suggested not going into manual and just picking 5 minutes or 10 minutes, that these options that they've provided are tried and tested through decades of research and application, which is what you were saying earlier, Jenny. So I'm not going to vibrate in here. What I would do from this point is go back and then dive deeper into each of the 5. So deep cycle H came up for me. And so here we have breath of life, kidney, all male, go to the roots, renewal, and clean all. So on a normal day, I would go and I would vibrate these. How I do it in selecting time is where the percentages are not extremely high, or based on the time frame that I have, I might vibrate these for 1 minute, 20 seconds. I tend to do it a little bit longer with the digital nutrition, where there's more information, more programs. It's all the vitamins and the supplements. I would run those for longer. But again, I was listening to Max the other day on one of his presentations, and he was saying that you could run it for as long as you want, and that once your body is in resonance, it will stop receiving the frequencies. So you can't actually overdo it. Is that your understanding, Jenny?
Yes. Yeah, that's correct. It's never going to give you anything that you don't need. So just like working with a microcurrent program, if the program turns off before the time, allotted time, that just means that your cup is completely filled, right?
Okay. And so if you wanted to go back and find the initial list of the 5, you go down to the little house on the bottom left, you click on lists, and it will bring up the last ones that you've done. So here on the top 2, and there's my list. So sometimes I do the 5 and then I forget which ones are on it, and I'll run through the ones that I remember, and then I will return to the list and then go dive deeper into those.
Yeah, you can rename your list as well, to remind yourself. And also it's, Marcus even suggests, because I remember when I first got my Healy, I spent so much time, I would actually lose myself in the amount of time that I would geek out on the scanning and going down the list and scanning every single one, every single day. And I was just obsessed with it. And then I listened to him speak on a webinar, to say that he only does a scan once a week, and he will use that same list from the scan to vibrate throughout the rest of the week to make sure that your cup is getting filled up with those frequencies that came with that initial scan. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do an analysis maybe 3 to 4 times a week, and then work with the frequencies that come up for me, especially the higher percentages. But I do like to work with the energy medicines that aren't in the longer IMF programs in the Healy Pink Dot. So the Alaskan gem elixirs, Australian bush flowers, buck flower remedies, creative homeopathy at the bottom, the Schussler salts, the I Ching. These will not come up when you do the analysis, so you have to do them separately. You don't have to, but you if you would like to work with them, then you need to do that separately.
And you should. Those were these frequency programs were gifted to us. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I lost you. They were gifted to us, and the ones at the top, the gem elixirs, and those deal with the psyche, and you get a lot of really cool information in that. And then the ones at the bottom, the vital substances, or your amino acids, and the Schussler salts are your minerals and vitamins. So really cool to work with those. But yeah, I mean, these are frequency programs that have been used for, over 100 years, some of these frequencies. So like the Bach flowers, so they are extremely cool and should be used often.
Yes. And I like to think about when you do the analysis, I think initially when you're working with the Healy, we're thinking about this more on a physical level, addressing more of the physical manifestations that are happening in our body. And these energy medicines allow us to go deeper into maybe the subconscious, things that are playing in the background, that are in our blind spots, and just working more on the emotional, energetic, mental level to, again, bring us back into alignment. So let's do one of those. So there are some, I tend to have ones that I do with new clients or when I'm introducing the Healy, and ones that I only introduce a little bit later on. Like the creative homeopathy can bring up some things for people. So I like the Alaskan gem elixirs. It's very gentle and beautiful and supportive. So I like.
And the homeopathy, that, because there's so many frequencies within that database, it takes forever. So it's hard to, if you're doing, just a demo, it's hard to sit there. It's like, okay, any minute now, it takes 10 minutes.
Yeah, you have to hold your finger for a really long time. So with the Alaskan gem elixirs, what comes up for me today, the 75% Montana rhodochrosite strengthens and stabilizes the 4th chakra, clears confusion and chaos from the heart, clarifies intent, and promotes courageous, heart-centered action. So beautiful. Second one, 69% hematite, strengthens energetic boundaries in the emotional body, promotes emotional independence rather than codependence, helps us maintain a state of compassionate detachment while witnessing an intense emotional experience in another, and contain our own emotional experiences in a responsible way. So it's really diving deeper into more of our emotional, energetic body, and speaks to what's happening within ourselves and within our energy.
And if anyone doesn't know, so the percentage at the top that we're looking at is the relevancy of how much, what's coming up that's most out of balance within this frequency set, right? Within these programs. And then the desired state. So it's basically saying that that 65% Brazilian quartz, that the desired state is the balancing frequencies that this Brazilian quartz has given off. So we actually have the recorded frequency from this quartz, and what it has been known to do and has been scientifically studied and proven to do is, what it says in the desired state description. So then by vibrating these into your field, you're using these frequencies that we have access to harmonize within the bioenergetic field. Amazing, right? Mind blowing. I love it.
So Jenny Yuki is asking, is shorter transmission actually more potent, or is potency the same regardless of time transmission?
That is my understanding, that the shorter vibrations have more potency. And that's why if you go, after the demo, if you go back to that the chart that you have on how to vibrate for shorter periods. And that's why, because, you know, you do like 6 times a day for the 37 seconds because of the potency. If anyone else is on here, Bonnie or Colette or Eva, if you want to jump in and explain a little bit more, that is my understanding. But again, you know, you can vibrate. Like I said, sorry, somebody. But for me personally, you know, I don't, because with the Blue app, you know, you have to be in connection with your Bluetooth, right? So for me personally, I don't have a whole lot of time to sit there and make sure that my app is left open on my phone. So as when I'm vibrating, for as long as I can, I like to keep it open and on, right? So if I'm vibrating something, I'm like, okay, I can have a solid 5 minutes with my app on right now. So that's kind of why I do it for a little bit longer, for like the 5 minutes or even the 2-minute one, you know. But yeah, those short little blasts are supposed to be extremely harmonizing. You're muted. You're muted.
I can't tell if you're hearing me. I'm getting feedback when I unmute. I'll bring up the chart after the demo and we can discuss that more as well, because there are different frequencies and different times for acute versus chronic. So you could do, say you had a situation where you have pain, you could do an analysis in pain and stimulation, and the ones that come up, then you could vibrate those for 37 seconds multiple times in the day, and just really addressing that acute pain situation. If you were dealing something that was more chronic, like chronic pain, then you would run those for longer periods of time. Did anybody have any questions specifically about doing the analysis, or questions about the programs within the analysis? Is there anything else I should demo, Jenny?
No, I think that's a great overview and to get people started. Just, you know, I know we don't normally like talk about the tech and stuff, but just be aware that if you are switching back and forth from like the Blue Dot app to the Pink Dot app, you might need to completely close out your apps and shut down the Bluetooth and open it back up. That's a question that I have a lot of. Why isn't it working? And there's kind of a process, because the technology can be a little bit finicky sometimes. So it likes for you to only have the Blue Dot open, you know, and you start your Bluetooth again with that. So that's just a little pro tip.
Yeah, I hard close apps when I'm done with them, because otherwise the Bluetooth stays on, I don't see, and then it drains the battery of your phone and also of the device. So it's just good practice to get in the habit of hard closing out of the apps when you're done working with the Healy in the Pink Dot and the Blue Dot app. But it also, yeah, to prevent interference. Okay. Can you guys still see this chart? Is that up on the screen, or do I need to share that again? I think I have to share.
No, I don't see the chart. Sorry, I was just chat.
Okay, so this is what we were speaking to in an acute situation, like pain or inflammation, or like when I burned myself a couple of weeks ago on the motorcycle muffler of the Empatha Man. I was using these transmissions. I did an analysis for skin and beauty, and the ones that came up, I was vibrating those 6 to 8 times a day, in addition to using the longer IMF frequencies. But in an acute situation, you vibrate 37 seconds for 6 to 8 times per day. Basically until the desired outcome is achieved. And then in a more chronic situation, you would vibrate those for 2 minutes and 49 seconds for 2 to 3 times per day. And they suggest doing that for about a month.
And as you start to use it more every day, which everyone should be healing every day unless they're taking a day or two of rest, to integrate the frequencies. But, you don't have to do the all Healy programs. That's just a really great way to start, because a lot of people want to see what is coming up the highest as far as a blockage or disturbance within the body, um, or psyche, right? So that's a good place to start. But as you start to use it, listen to your intuition and it will guide you. The Healy is so intelligent. It will start to know you, and, you will become one with the Healy.
The analysis app is really nice too, because it takes the guesswork out. So I know sometimes people, like my clients that don't have the analysis, they have the Pink Dot app with all the frequency programs, and they're like, I don't know what to run. And so that's the beautiful thing about doing the analysis, is that it points you in the direction of where, because sometimes things come up and it's something that might manifest in 2 days and it's showing up in the Healy. And so the Healy knows it's reading into your information field, and yet it might not have been physically manifested yet. It's already sort of detecting that imbalance within your energetic field. And so for me, when I was first starting, it took a lot of the guesswork out. I would just do the analysis, and what came up as the highest percentage, then I would run that one in the longer programs. Especially with Gold Cycle, it's suggested that you start with Gold Cycle frequencies with the microcurrents first. So I was doing a lot of those analyses to see which one I should run. And once you're working with the frequencies over time, you sort of get, sometimes now I'll do an analysis and I almost know what I should be running, and then the Healy confirms and validates it for me. And so sort of like that intuition strengthens, and you end up being this co-collaboration of how to best support your energetic body. Okay. So as always, please join our Telegram group. If you wanted to get other more technical aspects of the Healy resonance, there are Tech Tip Tuesdays with Ken, and he dives deep into the technology behind Healy. There's also Healy for Beginners and Beyond on Thursdays. There's calls on Mondays. So Healy offers a lot of training, a lot of support. So please tap into those as well. These are not meant to be tech support calls. This is really just more for informational and empowerment purposes. So these are great resources to access as well.
I honestly can't stress enough, if you're just starting out and there's one call that you want to join, get on Tech Tip Tuesday. It is such a wealth of amazing knowledge about the Healy, how to use it, the science and technology. It's just such a great resource. So please utilize that. It will be a game changer for you and your Healy. Does anybody have any questions at this point?
Or if anybody wants to, go ahead, Nancy.
Yeah, I was just, so the Tech Tip Tuesday, is that link in the same group that I received the link for this meeting? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it's not. I know their links are scattered about, but if you go onto like the Healy World Americas Facebook group, they're always posted there. And
I could drop it in the Telegram group though as well. And then we have access to that along with some of the resources, like those presentations that I had suggested. I can put those in the Telegram group as well.
Cool.
Or Yuki saying that she can share it as well.
Yeah, and there's also a Telegram group specifically for Healy World America. So jump on there, because they post, on the day, they'll be like, hey, this is happening. So you'll get reminders and stuff. I put it in my calendars so I don't forget.
Also, I have a question.
Go for it, Brittany.
So I'm trying to understand with that. So you can, with the analysis, you can run that. What I'm thinking, what I did was I went to the top one and then I clicked, I sent it to you actually to text, Jenny. And I'm just curious, is that it you need to run programs on, or is it what you've mostly been running your programs on? If that makes
You
sense.
broke up a little bit there, so I'm not sure.
Oh, sorry. What I
What
was saying, was, is it when you run that analyst, is it showing you when it gives you the top 5 of those different things? Is that the programs that you should be running, or is that the most ran programs that you run on your actual Healy?
No, that's what's coming up, saying that you have the greatest resonance. Like this is what you need the most of, right? So that highest percentage at the top, that's saying that within that database, out of that frequency set, there's frequencies within that program that you need. So that
Got
is
it.
what typically, if you want to then use that to run a microcurrent program or just, to vibrate. But if you're trying to decide which microcurrent program you're going to use, then you would use that one with the highest relevancy first, typically. That's what.
And the microcurrents are out of the 150 different programs on the resonance. And then the vibrate is something that I'm kind of understanding, but not, because I've hit vibrate a few times, but I don't understand the entirety of it. And I feel like there's sectors of the vibrate. Is that true?
I don't even mean by sectors,
Like,
but
I mean,
if
like
you're in the
certain, like, for instance, skin, like there's a skin vibrate, or there's a other, just something else that's vibrate, or is it just one particular vibrate that is for everything?
So you're going to when you're in the Blue Dot app,
Mm-hmm.
you do an analysis based around skin. Whatever that highest percentage comes up, it lists the top 5 programs. And so that highest percentage program, let's say it was what's in the skin, Inner Beauty. That if that came up the highest, then and or the top 5. If you just are in that, you're still on the Blue Dot app, and you go down and you hit vibrate and then selected transmission duration, it's going to, you'll see it filter through. So it's vibrating all of those frequencies within those top 5 programs into your bioenergetic field. Does that make sense?
That makes more sense. That makes more sense. So I'll continue to play with it so I can have a better understanding of it. I think I need to actually experience it to get it more.
We'll talk
and then
about
I'll see it. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you
when it's doing the
listening.
analysis, Brittany, it's the Healy is looking at your resonance, so the resonance in your information field, and then it's matching it to the resonance in the database. So all of those programs, it's like comparing the two things, and then it will read on those two comparisons which ones you need the most support with, and it'll bring up the top 5 programs. And so you can vibrate those ones, or you could dive deeper into those 5, right? But you can never, once you do, say like Gold Cycle comes up, and then you do a deeper dive into Gold Cycle, it'll bring up the top 5 within Gold Cycle, but you can't go beyond that. You can't dive deeper into beyond those. You can't select them individually. You can vibrate those 5, or you can use it as sort of like a detective, where you identify which gold frequency is the highest percentage, like Jenny was saying, and then you could go and run that in the other program.
Okay, that makes
there's
a lot
2
more sense. Thank you so much.
Yeah. But I would encourage you to use the vibrate function too.
Tonight.
Even though you can't see it, you can't feel it, when you start to work with it consistently over time, there's like subtle shifts that happen within your energetic field. Like you will start to feel that it's working. It's like this small sort of imperceptible. Initially, it's hard to wrap your mind around it, but when you start to work with it and use them in a really consistent way, then you get more tangible results.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. And then you can just go in there and just press vibrate, or you have to run a program to get the vibrate option, or you have to do
Yeah.
analysts.
You just hit vibrate at the bottom. It says action, you hit that, and then you hit vibrate and you choose the length of time that you want.
Okay, perfect. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
So a lot of it is just like getting familiar with the technology, using it, playing around, trial and error, seeing what you like, and going from there.
Okay. Okay,
Did
great. Thank you
anyone
so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Did anyone want to share how they use the Healy resonance, the analysis, or maybe with your clients?
Did anybody have any other questions about it?
No?
I have a question, if I may.
Sure.
So, I have had a few people in my life that are either pregnant or they have a child, and just following my heart, like knowing I didn't feel comfortable vibrating a pregnant woman or a child. What I'll do is I'll do a group photo or their home, and in my heart, I figure that whatever vibration goes into that space or as a group, it'll be in perfect amounts for the child. I'm wondering how else either of you use it with a pregnant woman or an infant.
It's my understanding not to use it when someone is pregnant. So I haven't used it in that sense. I don't know. Jenny, can you speak about that, or anyone else?
There are no, from my understanding, and I'm sorry, I'm headed to another appointment right now, but from my understanding, there's no contraindications on using the vibrate with someone who is pregnant. It's only the microcurrent that has contraindications. I mean, whether or not they feel comfortable, that's completely up to them, and you kind of have to leave that up to them. But as far as just using the vibrate, again, the frequencies, you're never going to get anything that you don't need, and it's never going to give you anything in a negative way. It's just with the microcurrent, that they don't do really testing as far as that on pregnant women, right? So you have to kind of be mindful and I'll let Bonnie go. She's got something to say.
I just did a pregnant woman demo with a pregnant woman a couple days ago, and what I said to her was that the vibrate function was okay, but not to use any direct, like not to have the wires on like I do right now, for example. That's a direct application, and it is my understanding there's no contraindications with the coil at all. So, pregnant, pacemaker, whatever, there's no contraindications with the coil. So, you know, that's what I've been told.
Yeah, Maria is saying that you can use a vibrate function and the coil with pregnant women. So just confirming that.
Thank you so much.
But Evangelina, I've used the analysis with children, and they're super receptive to the energies. And I even helped a friend of mine, her baby was having symptoms, and the Healy directed us to look at their home environment. And turns out that they ended up discovering that they had mold issues in their house. And that's why the child was having these respiratory issues. So we vibrated, able to then go and make modifications in their home and to, really clean out the mold and be more aware of their environment. So the Healy was really helpful in that instance. All right. So anybody have anything else that they wanted to ask or share? If not, then we'll wrap up for today. So if anybody is interested in diving deeper in any particular aspect of the Healy, then please drop it in the Telegram group, and that gives us a framework of different discussions or different learning that you would like to gather on these calls. This is why we've created this. So if there's things that you want to learn, please share so that we can put that together for you. And otherwise, we'll wrap up. Thanks so much, Jenny. Thanks, Bonnie.
Thank you so much, Andrea. You are just such a beautiful wealth of knowledge. I'm so excited to be on here with you. It's so great.
Oh, thank you.
And of course,
We're all learning.
love you, Bunny.
All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye. Thanks so much.
Bye.
We'll
Thank
see you in 2
you.
weeks.